Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you for being with me again today. Maybe you remember that yesterday Henry Kissinger, the former U.S. Secretary of State and National Security Advisor under Gerald Ford, and Richard Nixon, spoke at Davos. And while he's 98 years old, he's a very knowledgeable individual. Very cunning, very intelligent. He is a good diplomat. He was a good diplomat. Sometimes, he shows his bias, obviously, like all of us. And nevertheless, he dared to say at Davos that probably it would be a good thing, in his opinion, that if Ukraine would give some territories to Russia after this war, or in order to be able to negotiate with the Russians. And he also cautioned the Western countries not to humiliate Russia or end Putin with losing the war. He makes the point in a elaborate and nice way, logical way. Nevertheless, I knew that he's going to be persona non grata pretty soon because he just swims against the current. Like, if you remember, President of France, uh, Emmanuel Macron, said almost the same thing. The West should not try to humiliate Putin with his war, at which the president of the Ukrainian people jumped and was very upset with Macron. And guess what? He's going to be upset with his fellow, I don't know, you know what I mean, Zelensky, Kissinger brothers. Anyway, this article is from The Hill and it's by Brad Dress and came out on May 25th, 2022. This is the title. Zelensky rips Kissinger over suggestion Ukraine cede or Chad give territory to Russia. State Henry Kissinger for suggest. Oh, what is this? All right. So he says Ukrainian President Zelensky on Wednesday slammed former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger for suggesting earlier that this week that Ukraine gave some territory to Russia in the name of peace. In a Wednesday address, Zelensky said Kissinger, and I'm quoting, emerges from the deep past and says that a piece of Ukraine should be given to Russia, end quote. And I'm quoting again, Mr. Kissinger's calendar is not 2022, but 1938, end quote, a reference to the Munich Agreement, which allowed for Nazi Germany to annex land in Western Czechoslovakia. Well, Mr. Zelensky, I don't know if you really knew or someone told you to say that, because I'm not pretty confident that you have that knowledge. Nevertheless, since we are at it, let's remind again, for, I don't know, like 50th time, that when it was that Munich conference and they appeased Hitler, provided Sudetenland, which were the western part of the Czechoslovakia, where 90-some% of the population was German. Poland, our friends, our allies, they made the same kind of arrangements with Nazi Germany at that time, that in case Germany invades and gets Czechoslovakia, they will invade from north and get their little territory from Czechoslovakia. That's history, that's a fact. So when the Germany did not stop to the Sudetenland and they went all the way through, the Poles invaded as well and took their share of territory from a country. So Poland did the same thing as Ribbentrop and Molotov did, actually, the Pact of Soviets and the Nazis. You invade, we're going to invade and get half of it. Well, you invade Czechoslovakia, we're going to invade something up north. That's history, so it's not me saying from I just dreamt about it last night. But I know the Poles do not like that, and I don't think they even know it. They don't even, because they like to forget these kind of things. Because that will make them perpetrators. They will make them as good as the Russians, as Soviets, I'm sorry, at that time. and they don't like that a bit because they're saints. So, behind all these geopolitical speculations of those who advise Ukraine to give away something to Russia, great geopoliticians are always unwilling to see ordinary people. Now, Zelensky, instead of using logos, he uses pathos, or ordinary people. Really, did the ordinary people make the decision not to follow the Minsk agreement? Did they elect in 2014, or did they overthrow the government of Yanukovych, democratically elected, by the way? So stop with this kind of, oh my God, people and geopoliticians. If I were to have Zelensky here and Kissinger here and say, okay, who would you pick? Kissinger being 98 and the other one was 45 or something, I would not even look at this guy. Nothing. I would get that guy, and I know that he's gonna have more intelligence and more knowledge at that age. No, when you're old, your mind doesn't work that fast. That's a fact, not me. Nevertheless, I would get Kissinger with no hesitation. So, and anyway, this guy doesn't like what the other guy says. He must be stupid. That's basically what he says. Great, great, great. If Kissinger would have said something that Zelensky might have liked, he would have bowed, and thank you very much, Yahweh, for my fellow, what's his name? Kissinger, yes. So, and says, this is the problem here. At the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, on Monday, the 98-year-old Kissinger said negotiation on peace need to begin between Moscow and Kiev, and that ideally, I'm quoting, ideally, the dividing line should return to status quo ante. Russia annexed Crimea. Okay, we're not going to go over that. That's unimportant on this conversation. And he says here that Zelensky on Wednesday said he would not heed to those who are in a hurry for another meeting with the dictator, in a reference to Putin. No matter what the Russian state does, there is always something who says, let's take its interest into account. What? This is Zelensky. Listen to this. No matter what the Russian state does, there is always someone who says, let's take its interest in account. No? That's why you are where you are, Zelensky, because you didn't take anybody else's interest in account. That's why. Minsk agreements, not taken into account. The lives and deaths of the Russian nationals, Ukrainians from the east Ukraine, did they come into consideration? No. Did you take into consideration Russia's concerns with security, with NATO? No. Did you take their the Russian red line that they set for many times? No. Nothing. So what? You are here. You are here partly because, not only because of those evil Russians, just to put it mildly, since I'm on YouTube. So despite thousands of Russians missiles hitting Ukraine, despite tens of thousands of Ukrainians killed, again, he is using pathos, trying to get the feeble people to say, oh, yeah. But what about the Russians? They were killed by Ukrainian forces in East Ukraine. From what, 2014, 2015 to until 2022. How about those? Allegedly between 10 and 15,000 people were dead over there. That's why the Russians were talking about the genocides over there. What about those? Their lives don't matter today. Obviously not. So, actions have, or decisions have consequences. You can't just do stuff and not expect to have some consequences, sometimes good consequences, sometimes bad consequences. In this case, bad consequences, but still good, because in every good is a bad, in every bad thing is a good thing as well. Look, all the Western guys who do this from above, they are on your side. Look, and you're in power still. You're still in power. You're a very important person, more important than anybody else on this planet at this point. Would you have ever showed up in all these parliaments on the big screens and tell them that they are bad, and if they don't help you, and if they buy Russian oil, they are part, and that's blood money, and that would make them also part of the, I don't know, the crimes committed in Ukraine? Would they have been so famous that your fleece would sell with 92,000 pounds at an auction? Would it be? No. Would anybody know about you as great Zelensky? Or people would say about, oh, corrupt Ukraine, one of the most corrupt countries, actually. So you see how things work sometimes in your benefit. Even people die, but who made the decisions? These decisions could have been avoided. This consequence could have been avoided. And one of them, the reason, and one of the things I'm pointing out at, is the Minsk agreements. They were signed by Ukraine. There's a legal document. It's in the United Nations. That's international law. They didn't abide by it. They didn't implement it. And guarantors, which was Germany, France, and I think Great Britain, did not move a finger to help you guys implement it, even though they said, we will help, we will be on this, let's sign it. Okay? So yes, Mr. Zelensky. And by the way, go and hit those books. The books have knowledge in there, and you might learn something. Because I don't think you know much. That's my assessment of you, direct. And I don't care. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.